Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to this week's Local SEO and Marketing Q&A session. My name is Eric Schoenfeld with Local Marketing Institute, and I'm really excited to introduce my good friends Ben Fisher and Jason Brown. How you doing, guys?
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
All right. We got a really good session for you guys today. Tons going on, tons of news and updates, lots of questions that you guys put in advance, and we thank you very much for those. But before we dive in, a little bit of housekeeping on that. If you want to reach Ben, you can reach him at steadydemand.com or at The Social Dude on Twitter. If you'd like to get a hold of Jason, you can find him at reviewfraud.org or at Kaiser Holiday on Twitter. And you can find me at Local Marketing Institute on your favorite social media or web platform. What I do want to encourage you guys to join our Facebook group. You can find it, just go to our website. There's a link to it right there, or search for Local Marketing Institute Connect on Facebook. Make sure you join in on that. Some good discussions going on out there. And make sure you subscribe to our podcast. You can hear all these sessions and more on your favorite podcasting platform. You can even have Alexa play us. And I haven't checked yet, guys, but last time I saw, we were still ranked the #2 marketing podcast in Croatia.
I thought we were number one.
Maybe we were number one. I don't remember. I'll have to check that again.
We were.
But someone wrote in and said, "Hey guys,
happened?
you're like the #1 marketing podcast in Croatia." I'm like, awesome. So, if you guys ever watch Pinky and the Brain, first Croatia and then Pinky, the rest of the world. So we'll go from there and have some fun with that. If anybody knows what I'm talking about when I talk about with Pinky and the Brain, you're my new hero. All right, well, let's dive into a couple of things here. We've got plenty of stuff to go on here. Whoopsie.
Yeah, Ben is Pinky, just so you know.
Always.
Ben is Pinky. We call him Pinky because sometimes he has some lighting issues there. Tons of stuff going on here. Let's get stuff set up and we'll dive on in. Unfortunately, I really need a third monitor here to make this work well. All right, let's go in here. First things first. This is going to be a good one here. Let's start with some GMB news here. Tons of stuff going on. Ben, you got some stuff here with GMB Chat, I think that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and show the screen?
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that.
All righty.
There's the chat.
There it is. So as we all know, Google My Business chat support has kind of gone in and out ever since, for the past quite many months. So now it looks like it's back in full force. And also there's times. And so it's a little bit friendlier. I'm telling you that obviously 24-hour support minus 1 minute. They get a 1 minute break. But yeah, so very easy to get to, actually.
Great.
Do they have a changing of the guard like at Buckingham Palace? So like when the one team's leaving, then they do like the whole dress down and hand the phone over to the other person?
Yeah, they're very efficient, obviously, because they can do this in literally 1 minute.
Nice. Yeah. As you can see, they get 1 minute off as well. They're from midnight to 11:29. Then they get a minute off. So interesting. Okay. So anyway, this is great. Chat's back, support, and they actually have hours. So that's great news here.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about this really quickly, just because I know everybody's probably thinking it, and that is that chat is not available for every single option. So there are very specific options that Google looks at where they feel like chat supports something that should be implemented. So just know that, play around with it, think around with it, publish it on Twitter if you find your path.
And thanks for the update on that, Osama. Really appreciate that. Let's go back into the next one here. There is now an opportunity in your GMB listing to hide the phone number. So let's see here. That's the phone number alias. This was something I think from Joy wrote about this, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that are going on. So Google's been making some minor tweaks with phone numbers. So they're thinking that there's certain areas where you can actually go in and click "Don't show telephone number." And so far it seems like it's causing some confusion. So we're seeing some threads on the forum where people are saying that they're actually adding their telephone number, but that their telephone number actually is not publishing. And so right now Google's, trying to, triage and troubleshoot whether telephone number actually is not being implemented, or if it's because they've turned it off. So this kind of goes right along lines with the with call history preview, which we talked about previously. So now I think there's that screen. Do we have that next screen where Google's now starting to display the alias? Yeah. So they're now putting in on the GMB when a Google number is actually being displayed as one of the call options. So this was another issue that people were running into, where all of a sudden they were seeing random telephone numbers being posted on their GMB listing. They didn't realize what it was coming from. That's because Google's actually implementing their own call tracking service to help give better metrics. But there was also that issue. We're not sure if it's been fixed yet, but the calls were actually routing to the wrong business. And so people were losing. Yeah, it was bad. So yeah, people were getting calls for the wrong businesses, or their customers were calling the wrong business. And so it was quite the kerfuffle. I don't know if it's been fixed. We basically just told everybody to just shut this service off to avoid any more issues. Ben?
Yeah, it's a half-baked launch as far as I'm concerned. And not to mention, if you look at this, it's kind of silly, right? Because if you're a user, what are you going to do? All right, if you see Google number and phone number, what are you going to dial? You're going to dial phone number, right?
Well, it's not like that, but as a business, right? If I'm doing my own call tracking, or maybe I don't want that published out there, I don't want the confusion out there either with all this. So, Jason, did I hear you saying that you can actually turn this off in your listing? It's on. It comes on. They're testing this right now. It's not a full rollout everywhere.
It's opt-in, by the way.
Yeah, it's opt-in, so you can enable it from the call history screen. But I think now the new thing is you have to enable it on one screen and then go into another screen and actually turn it on and enable it now. So they're making it a little bit more nuanced to actually get it implemented, because people were actually implementing it, not realizing what it was. So again, like Ben said, half-baked rollout, not a lot of communication behind it. Consumers were getting completely, confused as they were enabling it, not sure what it was doing. And so, Google needs to come out with a better PR campaign on this whole program.
Which, of course, they won't. So my prediction, and I'll just put it out there right now, just like CallJoy, this will be in the Google graveyard.
Yeah, or like GMB short names.
Well, that was 1 year, but yes.
Yes.
Short names were definitely longer than.
Yeah, they were definitely longer.
They've been around for a while, but they're now being deprecated. So, bottom line, two major things here. One, with the phones, you can actually choose not to show your phone number. I don't really. For the life of me, I'm trying to put a use case scenario. I'm sure there must be one.
Oh, it's super useful, actually. We see this in the forum all the time, where people want to get rid of their phone number from their listing. And that is because what ends up happening is okay, so let's take a HVAC company right now, okay? HVAC companies, for the most part, are having a really hard time finding talent to go out and do jobs. So the problem is they're getting too many phone calls and they can't service them. So when people are calling in, the only thing that the intake can do is to say, basically, sorry, we don't have anything today. Can we schedule you for tomorrow? Well, come on. If your air conditioning is broken in the middle of summer, you don't want to wait till tomorrow. So they're getting all these useless phone calls, basically. So that's just one use case.
Yeah, I think I know that one. So we just checked on like a Safe Flight Auto Glass. I checked on for my mother-in-law's car, actually, and they don't even let you call in anymore. You call in the phone number, they don't even answer. They just say use our website. So they're totally going away from any phone calls whatsoever. Not that I necessarily recommend that, but it's there. So there's that, and then also the ability to show and use a Google call tracking number on your GMB listings here. Okay. Hey, little quick question I wanted to bring up because I thought it was germane to this discussion. Mark is watching us on our Facebook group, and he said, speaking of phone numbers, is it okay to use one of those free Google personal voice numbers as the business phone number for a GMB location?
Yes.
Yep.
It's just a voice over IP phone number.
Yeah, it's just a VoIP number. Now, there used to be this theory that it was better to have an area code and perhaps even a local exchange, the first 3 numbers after the area code that matched your geographic location, that was kind of another geographic signal. That's all gone away now, right? No one cares.
That's pretty much BS. It's the area code that matters.
Well,
I think.
I'm gonna slightly disagree because of the fact that we see a lot of abuse in GMB, and so the black hat spammers are creating fake listings, and they can't always get a telephone number in that area code. And so because of the fact that people are using telephone numbers outside the area code, it might be a little bit more suspect to your consumers. But yeah, you can definitely do the Google free telephone number. I do that, and I port it to my own number. The only thing I'm going to say is there's certain regions where you're going to run into an issue with that, because like right now, like we're seeing a lot of issues where Google's not updating telephone numbers or accepting telephone numbers in the India region.
Yep.
And we're also seeing some interesting communication back, where Google is actually telling people that they can't use their own cell phone number. So if you're going to use a Google number and try to port it to your cell phone, it's going to raise some red flags with Google, and they may not accept it.
There might be an issue with the forwarding too.
Go ahead, Ben.
I was just saying that there could be an issue with the forwarding. Like Jason's saying, a lot of the spammers, what they'll do is they'll set up voice over IP numbers to try and get like a text code or something, right? So yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would say about this is that if you're going to use a Google voice phone number, you got to watch out, because again, you're using a Google product. It's their product. They could kill it any day. Remember what happened to the feed, the RSS feed that everybody loved, that had millions of users?
Yeah.
Boom. Gone.
I wouldn't rely on this. I would not rely on this, because this goes away and you're kind of hosed. Okay. Good. Thanks. So let's take a look at a couple other things here. A couple of things I wanted to bring up here that I was noticing. So love them or hate them, Yelp has just launched a new ad option called Yelp Audiences. I think it's kind of an interesting one because again, there's tons of places you can spend money. I realize that you got to choose your battles widely, but this one here, you can target Yelp users across the internet. So you're remarketing to Yelp users. But the cool thing on this is you can target people based upon their Yelp search activity. So it's display advertising to Yelp users based upon their search activity. And the nice thing about this, because there's another thing called, it's confusing. There's Yelp Audiences and there's the Yelp Audience Network. They're different. The Yelp Audience Network is where you can advertise your business listing to people, and it brings you back to your business listing on Yelp. Yelp Audience is where you can do advertising and you don't have to bring them back to Yelp. So just another interesting ad option out there that you might want to check out. I don't have any history at all on this as to how effective it is. It's brand new, but wanted to bring that out. A little interesting thing. So TikTok, I know it's the rage with all the kids today, but they're now moving more and more mainstream with this. That their user base is starting to grow up and starting to expand into older audiences. They're becoming a more mature social media platform. One of the interesting things that notice here is that, again, TikTok did open up longer videos, up to 3 minutes in length now. And I love these guys. If you don't follow them over at Locology, I'd recommend it. They're more geared for local publishers, but some good stuff out there. But they're really pushing hard their local advertising. They really want to get local advertisers onto the TikTok platform, and they're really targeting SMBs because they kind of like the raw video feel with their operations. So just something to think about here. Yet another platform that you could look to spend money on. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I want to make sure you're aware of some of the changes going on there. And then finally, NextDoor is going public. Yes. It's what's called a special purpose acquisition company, a SPAC. I just had a friend of mine, actually, he's a CEO of a new public company that went through a SPAC in the clean energy space. But bottom line, NextDoor is going public. Why is this important? They're really going to be investing in this platform. I think there's some really interesting things that kind of came out of some of these filings here. First of all, interesting to note that approximately 1/3 of all U.S. households use NextDoor. So that's an interesting little number there. That's why I think NextDoor is actually probably one of the most important social media networks that a lot of people don't pay attention to in local businesses. And the second thing that they said, that one of the biggest top priorities once NextDoor goes public is to make the platform more useful for local businesses. So they're going heavy after the local business space. Nothing you need to really do here right now. Keep your attention on this. Maybe we'll do a session on some NextDoor optimization techniques somewhere down the road if you guys are interested in that. But that's kind of what I wanted to let you know on that.
Hey, Eric,
I want to wait. Hold on.
Go ahead, JP.
What's up?
Yeah. So the fact that, we're now seeing issues with, so now we're seeing fake reviews on NextDoor now. So people are creating fake profiles. And so we're seeing both the fake positive reviews promoting businesses, and now we're starting to see the fake negative reviews. I just did an interview this week for a business that is having issues with legitimate recommendations on NextDoor. So it looks like, NextDoor is going to, be the felon to what we're seeing on other platforms where they're not, properly vetting user profiles and accounts. And so basically, you can go and create a profile, and I can say that I live next door to Eric when I don't, or that I'm in Washington, D.C. when I'm not. So, those are some of the issues that you gotta be careful of. So you gotta, if you do have that on there, you have to, start monitoring, make sure that people are not, attacking you and with fake profiles.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that, right? How are they going to deal with fake businesses? How are they going to deal with fake reviews? Is there going to be a reporting mechanism? Is there going to be a public community, something like that? However, I do need to raise one thing. And the biggest question in my mind is if you look at that picture, the guy in the little purple shirt there, looks like you, Eric. Is that how you greet your neighbors?
No, that is not me. He's actually definitely much more handsome than I am. But anyway.
And Tanner.
Yeah. Anyway, I just think keep your eyes on NextDoor. I love what Trisha said in the chat here. She always sets up her clients on NextDoor. And so I think that you guys need to, just keep an eye on this. And especially like anything else, spam fighting is going to be, it is a core tactic for digital marketing for local businesses. You've got to keep your eyes on that. But check out this growth, 13, 19, and now almost 27 million. They're really expanding in terms of their growth on there. So some good stuff. And Amy, sometimes in the chat, she's talking about she's getting some interesting attorneys on TikTok and some interesting leads. That would be interesting to see attorneys on TikTok. Dancing, singing attorneys. I don't know. We'll talk more of that. I know I'm not one of the cool kids. I do understand that. Last thing I kind of wanted to get down here, then we got a couple other things and we've got some other questions coming in. We get asked this so many times on the show about whether you should geotag photos to rank higher in local search. Should I geotag photos? People tell me I should geotag photos. Should we geotag photos? I wanted to address this once and for all. So Ben and Jason contributed this. I probably should have put all three of our names on the byline here. But we finally went through and we wrote what we consider to be kind of our definitive answer to whether or not you should geotag photos. I will put this link in the chat for you guys. Those of you on Facebook, I apologize. You just have to go to the website and check that out. But again, here's where it boils down. Geotagging does not help your Google My Business listing rank higher. There's tons of tests about that. I got a great quote from Jason here. Geotagging may have some minor impact in the organic search rankings, right? Because remember, in a search results page on Google, there's basically ads, Google My Business results, and web pages, organic search results. It can potentially help you rank a little bit higher on organic search results, but not a lot. So don't expect to see that make a huge difference. And so then we talk about, okay, well, what should you do? Well, take great photos, update photos regularly. Don't worry about geotagging. It doesn't hurt to do it. This doesn't help. Descriptive file names and descriptive alt text. And then I thought this was a great quote here. So why is there so much talk about geotagging photos? Ben, I'm just going to read your quote here. Ben just said basically, with citations declining in importance over the past few years, SEO companies have to find something new to sell. So they've invented geotagging and adding keywords to image names. That's what they're trying to sell people now, but these tactics don't work in GMB. Anything else you want to add to this, guys?
Yes, two things. One, there's a guy who's running Facebook ads right now, and so he's selling a course right now, $6 to get the definite instant ranking guide for Google My Business. And I looked at one of his clients that was swearing by his practices, and this lawyer went around and started posting just the most obnoxious photos. I mean, it was like a side shot of a door, a couple of pictures of the back alley with a dumpster, and then he went and started taking a bunch of selfies around town as his way of doing marketing. And it's just like, this is just kind of the nonsense that happens. So Joy Hawkins, who's also one of the participants in this and did a quote and gave some information. She is doing a full she's told us she's doing a full presentation at Local U on August 31st. So it's a complete virtual event. She said she's going to have the definite guide, and she says it's going to be music to my ears. And so I kind of can't wait to see it. If you want to go to that.
Oh yeah. Let's get that up here. So
both Ben and I are sponsors. So I bought a handful of tickets. If you want to buy your own ticket, go ahead. If you want to do sponsorships, each ticket you buy through your sponsorship, they're going to go ahead and double up. But this is always the best guide for anything you want to find about anything local. It's a great event.
Yep. So I put the website for Local U in here. Great session out here. Again, really highly recommended. But this is the session that they were talking about here. Joy is going to talk about the images, what's outdated and what really works. Bottom line, a lot of this has to do with Google Cloud Vision.
Yes, it does.
Google's now reading the content of your images, and no, Kurt, adding the NAP or the keywords actually on the photos themselves isn't really going to help. And I can't stress this enough. It can lead to a suspension of your Google My Business listing. If you are caught abusing the terms of service, or you are trying to game the system and add a bunch of nonsense to your listing or to your photos, when the Google team, so if you had let's say you had a legitimate listing, right? But somebody reported it to the redressal, if they were to actually look at the listing and look at everything behind it, and they started seeing a bunch of keyword stuffing and geotag photos and all this additional nonsense, because it's a violation, they can actually suspend your listing and make you apply for reinstatement, even if you have a brick and mortar.
Yeah,
and
it's a quality issue is what it comes down to.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, and just like this, hey, okay, now it's Google Cloud Vision, where Google's actually reading the images. So the next new tactic isn't geotagging; it's adding keywords strategically to the image so that Google can read them with Google Cloud Vision. That's going to be the next tactic that people are going to try to sell, right?
Technically, okay. So I'm just going to say this really quickly because I'm involved in a project that deals with Cloud Vision. I'll be revealing it very shortly, actually, and. So you're right. Google can read the images and can see what is in those images. They can also read the text. Now, they've been able to do this for a very long time, actually. If you think about it, if you go back in history, Google, I think it's got to be at least 6 years when they started basically, in a sense, OCRing the heck out of images and then indexing that data. With Cloud Vision, you get to see the entities that are related to it. And more importantly, what you're talking about is labels. So if you put a picture of, say, a doctor, and that doctor has gloves on and glasses on, it's going to extract the fact that it's a doctor, maybe a dentist, if they have, a drill right in their hand, gloves, for instance, glasses, office, things like that. It can definitely tell all those things. So I think personally, and again, I'm saying I'm involved in something, is that the optimization, people, of course, are going to say, yes, stick keywords in, that'll help you out. Bull crap. I think the optimization is going to be remove glasses and remove that from the image, or add glasses to add that to the image, say for Ray-Ban.
Now, interestingly, I did work with an HVAC company where they actually had a picture of one of their guys on site, and it was totally legit, outside installing a Trane air conditioner. Google actually picked up not only that it was an air conditioner, but that it was a train. Air conditioner. So I understand where the concept is. Well, wait a minute, that's text in the photo. Maybe we should start adding that text ourselves.
Correct.
It will be interesting to see how all this pans out over time. Again, hey, I don't care what Google or anybody else does. People are going to try to find a way to game the system. And bottom line, I guess it just comes back to what we said in the article. Just take great photos of what you do and your people and upload them on a regular basis. If you just do that, that's 98% of the benefit right there. Stop trying to game the system.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to get into this anymore. You can see I'm getting a little more red. I'm becoming pinky now.
You're becoming the NextDoor guy.
I'm becoming, yeah. Ben, I got a great question from Ina. Or Ina. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. She wants to know about GMB awareness among business users. She says, do you think the marketing community is really far ahead of local businesses when it comes to the need for a Google My Business listing? Especially with the SMBs, really small ones. They just seem like, hey, I know I've got to add social. I have social media. I have a website. But when you talk about Google My Business, they're kind of like glazed eyes. What are your thoughts on that?
So, yes, you are completely correct. Marketers have always been a step ahead of the marketing department over at Google in general. When back in the Google Plus days, was invited to become an ambassador, basically for G Plus. And I asked the marketing person directly, I said, well, how come you, basically Google, are not pushing this further? How come you're not sending out emails? If you're not doing commercials, how come you're not doing any of this? And what she said directly to me is that, look, we product managers, we have zero as a marketing budget. We rely on marketing companies and influencers to get the word out about our product, about what's going on with the product, et cetera. So that's a huge part of it right there is that they just don't have the budget. They don't have the capability to push it out. Another thing is that most small businesses, okay, actually I got to back up. When GMB got started, they scraped the Yellow Pages. And they had a partnership, I believe, with Yellow Pages. And so that's where a lot of the data came from. And they just put companies on the maps, right?
Back in the Google Places days.
Exactly. So they just put everybody on maps. And ever since then, now they collect feeds from the government. They collect feeds from, chambers, et cetera. They collect a lot of feeds and they just automatically create listings. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but did a reinstatement once and ended up finding a duplicate. And the client is like, we didn't put that up there. We don't have a web development company or an SEO company that did that. Well, guess what? The utility bill that they had created the listing. And so anyway, so the point is that a lot of SMBs don't know that they actually have a listing. All they know is they're getting phone calls. And Google doesn't do a lot to push them to claim the listings. So what does it leave it to? It leaves it to us marketers, which is, I think, personally not the way to do it, but whatever. It does. It leaves us marketers to spread the word.
Yeah, and I think there's two different schools of thought when it comes to a Google My Business listing, and one is if I build it, they will come, which I think is like one of the worst lines from a movie ever because it's just been so overused. So people think, I'm going to create my Google My Business listing and boom, that's all I need to do. And it's going to open the floodgates. And so we see countless, examples on the Google My Business community forum. Somebody complained yesterday because they just discovered that their Google My Business listing was marked as permanently closed. They don't know how long their listing had been marked as permanently closed. So it's like they weren't, paying attention to it. And I talked with a lawyer earlier this week. She had her Google My Business listing set up. She didn't know, that it was being actively monitored. Somebody had actually hijacked the listing and was putting a bunch of off-color replies to reviews, trashing people, as a way to defame her. So, people still don't get it. They think, it's like the Ronco rotisserie, set it in and forget it. I set my GMB, it's done. And they don't think about it. And so that's where we notice, a lack of education because people don't know. They spend more time on social media because you can actually get, engagement with your audience, and you're not able to
engagement more easily than you do on your GMB listing.
Exactly. So where are you going to go? Are you going to go where you actually know things are working and people are clicking and posting comments, or are you going to leave it to a Google My Business listing that you can't really tell what's actually happening and working there?
I will say this. When I do teaching in organizations, like, for franchises, et cetera, do webinars, once I do the webinar, I get flooded with emails and messages from people saying, I had no idea that 90% of my business is coming from Google.
Right.
And then they implement a tracking phone number, or they claim the listing, and I get a follow-up email. Oh my God, my business is all coming from Google. So it's an education thing. It sucks.
Well, for those of you who are agencies out there, this is a great opportunity, not just to necessarily do lead prospecting. You certainly can do that, but I found it a great opportunity to do education. Work with a local chamber of commerce, work with a local Better Business Bureau, go, write an article for the local newspaper or local business magazine. Teach people about Google My Business and how important it is. And you will find you will get so many leads coming in, you won't know what to do with them. So take this as an opportunity. Yes, you could just call on prospect, but if you go out and you teach, oh my gosh, the leads you're going to get inbound are off the chart good. So just something to think about for that.
I want to drop one thing on the audience because of that, what you just said there, Eric. And there's a tool out there. It's called Places Scout. Okay. And the reason I want to talk about Places Scout is Places Scout scrapes Google. You can put in a keyword. You can put in a metro. You want to bring that up?
Yeah, bring it up right now.
Excellent. And so what you can do is you can scan those keywords and you can filter basically for unclaimed listings. And that's what you're looking for, by the way. So once you find that unclaimed listing, it's going to give you their phone number. It's going to give you as much detail as it can about it. And now you've got perfect leads. And you can even use other tools that will go out there and find email addresses for those businesses based on their domain name. And now you have a lead list, and people that you can contact, people that you can call, people that you can offer a free class to.
Love this. Great idea, Ben. Really great idea. All right. So there you go. There's some agency building tips. Free of charge. All right, moving on here. Got a great question that came in from Fern. Fern, you were asking for paid ads. We need a privacy page from our website. Copy and paste. But if we don't have that, where do we get a privacy page from? Okay, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, you don't really need to have a privacy page on your website to run like standard Facebook ads or even standard Google ads. You don't need that. They don't really check for that. It's not a requirement. However, you do absolutely need it for lead ads. If you're going to do Facebook lead ads or LinkedIn lead ads or other types of Google ad products, you absolutely need that. I'm going to show you my favorite tool that does this. Doggone it, this stupid bar keeps coming back. I got to figure out how to solve that. It just annoys the heck out of me. So one of the things that I do is there's a little tool. If you go to the privacy policy on Local Marketing Institute, you will see this. And this is what's called an abbreviated privacy policy. You can show the complete privacy policy here. And we even have a cookie policy that's been built into here. I'll share with you my little inside secret on this because I don't like dealing with all this crap. And again, let me preface this. I am not an attorney. So if you get into legal trouble, don't blame me. Go consult your own legal counsel. However, guys, I use Ayubenda. Absolutely love Ayubenda here. Let me show you just briefly what this is. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this here. Let me go into actually my account. I can see I got a lot of accounts in here. I'm going to my account here. And I'll just show you briefly what this is. I'm going to put this link into the... I'm going to put this link in here. If you guys are open to it, this is an affiliate link, big fat whooping hairy deal. I will get like $10 per sign up on this, but I'll take my wife out to dinner on that if you want.
If you remember her name.
In other words, buy Eric a cup of coffee.
Buy me a cup of coffee. Click the Ayubenda affiliate link. Anyway, here's what it is. Let me just show you briefly what this is. It's all templated. So I come in here, the privacy policy in here. I can just choose exactly which services I'm using on my site, right? I use ActiveCampaign. We use Amazon Web Services. We have a contact form using Discuss Comments. We're doing some of the Facebook stuff, the Google stuff, etc. You'd be amazed when you go through how many stuff you do. It then automatically creates the proper privacy policy and even the cookie policy for you. You can even then, it is even GDPR compliant. It's California, it's CCPA compliant. It's all those things that it keeps up with there. And you can even have the little cookie notification if that applies to you and your business. A lot of businesses, it doesn't. So just a little heads up, don't want to dive deep into it. Check out Ayubenda. I think you got to get the pro version to add all these things on here. But I would recommend, it's $29 a year for the basic. If you need something, when you start adding the cookie solution, if you have a ton of page views, like a lot of my clients do, it gets a little more expensive, maybe $29 a month. But for most businesses, $29 a year, set it, forget it, and then they will notify you every time there's changes to various laws and what you need to do to modify your policy. There you go. Bob's your uncle. Hope that helps.
It's a brilliant product.
Everybody know what Bob's your uncle means? Anyway, we'll talk about that. Ben, here's a good question, I think, for you. Are there any third-party services that make managing Google Messages easier?
Oh, gosh, yes.
So brainstorm this a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, so basically, I'm just going to toss out a couple names of some of my favorite solutions, and then there's the page, which Eric is going to share with a ton of them that have the business messaging partner status. Just so you know, when you do business messaging and when you get it implemented like this, it is free for the most part. Most of these providers do it for free. Well, not all.
Basic
but anyway,
messaging.
Well, no. This is business class messaging, which is just a little bit different. They actually have to do a manual connection to Google My Business and their API every time. But it's great, really, for almost every business. I mean, you should absolutely be doing it. Let's just put it that way. One of the cool ones that I like is called Bots Up. And because they put a lot of lead generation behind it as well. And that's that little green icon right there. It's basically, it's a bot is what it is. But they also have, like I said, lead generation tagging in there. And they also have a review bot as well. So it kind of all ties together, and they've got templates for the bots. So it's a really good system, and it's free. So, hey.
Can't beat free.
Yeah, I love free, right? And so the next one is going to be Lead Furno. This one's done by Aaron Wiki and of GatherUp, or previously of GatherUp. And I don't know where it's not on there yet. I think they're
I talked to Wiki. Wiki said that they're hoping to go into live production in 2 weeks. But if you know Aaron Wiki, if you've used GatherUp, you know how sophisticated his tools and services are and how robust they are. Yep. I got a funny feeling this will probably be I hate to use the term, but I think it will be a pretty big game changer, just because of how they are heavily influenced on consumer sentiment. So they're definitely going to, want to help businesses know what their customers are thinking, feeling, and asking. So I would definitely bank on them.
Not to mention, Lead
Furno's really good.
Yeah, and Aaron is super smart. He really listens to his customers. So this is going to be a powerhouse. This is going to be something everybody is going to want to use. And Aaron has a finger, and it's made out of gold too, by the way. So everything he touches just kind of works, just saying.
and look who's featured right there.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Mike's involved in it as well. Mike
Blumenthal is involved with this as well.
Yes. Yep. Yes. So you got Lead Furno, and then we were talking about like Hootsuite, right? They're going to have some business messaging as well.
Sprout Social has some. Sprout Social connects to GMB too.
Yep.
And I think you mentioned Podium as well.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't like Podium. I think they're way too expensive.
Podium's definitely kind of enterprise class, but they are definitely expensive.
Exactly. So there you have it. You've got a lot of options available. I think it's going to be kind of the next thing. There are, like, if you look at the stat, it's like communication. 78% of consumers want to text your business. I can tell you this, with all the access that I have to my clients, I can tell you I see text messages all the time coming in through messaging. And I was
even going to say, when you talk about customer support now, actually, the preference, I forgot the study I saw, but the preferences have now switched where people prefer chat support or texting versus phone support.
Yeah. And people don't mind the chat bot either, by the way.
No.
Sometimes somebody doesn't want to talk to a person. Sometimes they just want an answer. And, so that's why I like the bots up on and got to be, of course, transparent. I am involved in that company a little bit. So, but yeah, I mean, basically, really, I think it comes down to this is kind of the next wave that we're going to see. And so there's a lot of companies that are getting into the field. So get involved.
Plus the unified inbox is what these guys offer too. Yep. It's pretty close into this time. I think we're going to move a little more toward a bit of a lightning round here on this. If you're ready to do this, JB, I'm going to throw this one out to you here first. This is from Jim. What do you do when Google changes your primary category? A client operates a mobile tire sales installation business designated as an SAB. He's been categorized as a tire shop for years, but Google just changed his primary category to wheel store. Problem is he doesn't sell wheels. He just works on tires. Google says that a shop must have a business location. What do we do?
Oh, yeah. So this is going to be, I thought this was going to be a different question. So yeah, we're definitely noticing a lot of Google making tweaks about, what the categories are. It's definitely going to be, more nuanced with SABs over brick and mortars. I'm not really sure there's a lot you're able to do to argue with Google. You can always try and contact support and see if they can, make those updates for you. Sometimes it's just a mistake. Somebody will do like a suggested edit on it, but it doesn't sound like this is that case. So that's what Google support's doing. But I would definitely recommend coming to the Google My Business Community Forum, create a thread so we can actually, raise this issue with the GMB support team so they can actually see if this is a new policy that just needs to be rolled back a bit.
Two things. Jason's absolutely correct on all of that. The other thing I want to put out there is make sure it's actually a Google update. What I mean by that is that there are multiple styles of updates that you can see in the GMB dashboard. If it is a solid orange update, that means it is Google saying, no, you are this. And in that case, you absolutely need to come to the forum and get it fixed or contact support. If it is a gray strike, that means that that is what Jason was talking about. That's the user suggested edit. If it is an orange strike, that means that there is data that is out there that Google has found and is suggesting that this is the proper information. So know your updates. That's going to help you really debug what's going on.
Right. So, Jim, in this particular scenario, I think, Jason's been absolutely right. Go to the Google My Business community forum and submit a thread in there about this specific circumstance. Because what you're saying does make sense to me. There may be a reason, though, that is because it says shop, that someone in GMB land is saying, oh, you got to actually, you can't be an SAB and be in that particular category. So something to think about there. All right, let's move on here. This is a great question coming in from John. It says, hey guys, I noticed while looking at a local restaurant GMB listing that they had more options for highlights such as great beer selection, great wine list, etc., as well as a popular for section where they listed lunch, solo dining, dinner. Where can I implement these on my restaurant Google My Business listing?
All right, so there's a couple different questions there. So let me just get into it. All right, so great beer selection, great wine list. These are what's called a subjective attribute. An objective attribute is what you're selecting inside of Google My Business, accept credit cards or doesn't accept credit cards. Subjective attributes, where do these come from? These come from A, mobile. So number one, if you're on a business profile, you might say, answer questions about this location, right? Or it might just say, this place at the bottom. And you say yes, and it's going to ask you a whole bunch of little questions. And you can also do this on desktop. So these are all just crowdsourced out to basically anybody who has come, in a sense, close to that business. You don't actually have to go to the business to get these. And actually, you can do it on any listing. So, for instance, I remember when they first started rolling this out, it's like I would look at GameStop and it would say, do they offer XYZ type of game, or a vape shop, saying, do they offer this type of flavor? Or Walmart, do they have, wheelchair accessible parking? So these are not options. I mean, except for wheelchair, those are in Google My Business. But look at that one. Which photo you think is more helpful? Well, that's going to probably be changing your logo, by the way, if enough people select it. And so that's where
I think the stacked washer and dryer is a good photo.
I think that's a great logo. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Jeez. And as far as just another little piece of information to put out there is that subjective attributes are not controllable by the business, not by the merchant, unless you're a hotel. Hotels actually have a little bit of control over this. So that's the one difference. The last question that he had, which is, sorry if you're a restaurant, but is popular for and times. So popular for, that's also a subjective attribute, but times, that's actually something that Google just calculates based on mobile usage. One little tip I will give you, don't abuse this, is that if you don't have it and you want to trigger it, basically make sure your people are coming in with their mobile phones turned on with location. I mean, you can't really control it, but that's kind of how it happens.
Yeah, this is the popular times. And really, Google's just looking at people's devices and they know where they are and they're tracking that and just saying, oh, here's where they're busy on Fridays versus Saturdays versus Sundays.
I was just thinking there is a way you could actually trigger that. You could either ask people to check the facts, or you could just simply have customers uploading photos. If they do that, that would absolutely trigger it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's move on to another question here. This is a great question that got submitted by Joanne. I'm a realtor. Keep getting calls from people trying to sell me Amazon Alexa voice optimization. Is that something I need to be doing? Do I need a third party to do it? I have talked about this ad nauseum. You're going to see a ton of folks out there who are going to be selling services. Hey, get found on Amazon Alexa, get found on Google Voice, get found on Apple Siri. And let me stress, they're not necessarily, I guess, you can't necessarily call them scams per se, but it's not really, it's kind of misleading. Bottom line, let me just boil down it in a nutshell. Alexa gets the bulk of its, where is it here? Alexa gets the bulk of its information from Yelp. Okay, there are some other sources. You can also, if you are a Yext customer, directly submit yourself into Yext. Yext directly submits to Amazon Alexa. But for the most part, if you've claimed and optimized your Yelp listing, you're going to show up just fine on Amazon. If you've claimed and optimized your Google My Business listing, you're going to show up just fine on Google Assistant. And if you've claimed and optimized your Apple Maps listing, you're going to show up just fine on Apple Siri. You don't need to have a third party sell you this. And oftentimes what they're actually selling you is they're selling you a Yext subscription that they've white labeled. And they're then submitting you directly into this. They're also updating your Google My Business listing, and they're also updating your Apple Maps. This is not stuff that you need to have them do for you. You certainly don't need to pay it on a regular basis. And you can just show up just fine on these. By the way, you can also show up on Microsoft Cortana if you've claimed and optimized your Bing Places listing for whatever that's worth. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Let's see if anything chat came up on this one here. Yeah, there we go. Sounds good. We'll move on to that one here. So yeah, Joanne, you do not need to pay for that. How do you recommend finding keywords that are GMB local specific? Jason, I'll throw this one out to you here. This is from Chris. basically, here's additional details. How can you manipulate or influence what a GMB ranks for in a certain category? For example, category of HVAC contractor or category internet marketing company wants to rank for website design, SEO, and GMB management, right? So in other words, how do you choose which categories that you should use for a GMB listing?
Well, how do you find keywords?
Big question.
Yeah. How do you find keywords? Either go to Keyword Planner or go to SEMrush, and you can start finding, localized, geo-specific search terms and potential search query volume. How to determine your category? Well, your category is going to be dependent on what services you do. So if you are an internet marketing company, your primary category should be internet marketing. Like, you're not going to be able to add like nuanced categories. Like, you wouldn't add HVAC because you're doing services for HVAC, right? Other things you can do to find keywords is look into your insights. Google shows you, what you are ranking for. You can also check with Google Search Console to see what search queries you're getting. And then start optimizing content around those terms that you are starting to get traffic from. And that will help you, because remember, it's not just your GMB, it's your website. So how well you optimize your website is going to be a direct correlation on how well you rank on GMB, right? Because and people forget that. So they just think, okay, I need to just focus all my attention on the Google My Business. Why am I not ranking? Well, look at your website. Fix your website, enhance your website, get your content. Joy Hawkins has done countless studies where, they went in and they changed the URL structure on a website, and all of a sudden everything just shut up. Go ahead, Eric.
No, this is good stuff. I just want to say, Chris actually clarified his question in chat. He's saying, okay, hey, look, like for instance, I have a client who's an HVAC contractor, but they only do air conditioning. They don't do heating and ventilation. Yep. So how could I specify that, or can I narrow that down within my GMB listing?
Absolutely, there's a primary category for it. There's a very specific category for air conditioning contractor, actually. And so you would use that. Now, if you want to branch out from that with other keywords, like Jason was saying, is you really need to pay attention to your website and optimize your website, add content that is around those specific things that you want to be found for. You can kind of see this in action if you look at the Google My Business queries. I think we talked about that last week. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at if you go to Performance Report, which is inside of Insights, you'll find basically the keyword queries. And the keyword queries are built off of the raw log files. So in there, you can see for keywords that you're coming up for, and you can also see keywords that you're coming up for just a little bit. The key here is to take those queries and then go ahead and start adding the queries which are low in traffic to your website as part of your content. And then you'll start seeing those actually grow as far as the number of queries that you get.
So in GMB, Ben's correct. So they have air conditioning contractor or air conditioning repair service. So that would be the things that you would want to look at as setting your primary category. And also the other thing is when it gets hot, you want to switch and make sure that you're covering AC as your primary category. And then as it starts getting cold, then you can start going with your heating category as your primary.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So you see right there, it's like, you take a look at that, and that's a shame. CPA near me under less than 15. Really? That's a good one. Or 38.
I got a CPA near me in lowercase. Yeah. Capital CPA.
It's interesting that they have the differentiation between those two. Or accountants in Loveland misspelled, right? But it's interesting because people are misspelling it. So play with that, Yep.
But I do like your one comment, though, that if you want to dive into keywords that are deeper than the categories that Google provides, that's where you do things on your website, right? For instance, again, back to that one, actually HVAC installation, they actually talk about these are all of the kinds of air conditioners that we install. Actually,
Chris clarified it again, and I have an answer. So we get this on the forum a lot where people say, well, my category doesn't exist. How can I rank for this? Well, the fact is that when GMB creates these categories, they create them in a certain type of hierarchy. Okay. And you can actually see that, by the way, if you go into Google My Business and you go into the bulk area, you can actually download the entire category list. I'm pretty sure Joy actually has this as well. And she also shows like what we're just talking about Joy every day here. It's awesome. Anyway, we love Joy. So basically, yeah, she also keeps track of what categories are coming in and out. So, but anyway, just find the closest category that you can, because GMB has already subcategorized your services basically underneath of that. And no, they were not going to add a category for you.
All right. Guys, we are running close on time here. I got, unfortunately, one more question. I know we got a lot of questions in the queue. So we will try to get these in the queue. We'll set them up for next week here. But I want to ask one more from Dave, because I really do appreciate his question. Jason, I'm going to direct this one to you. Dave says, I'm a level 7 Google Local Guide. Dave, meet Jason Brown, level 10 Google Local Guide. Is there anything I can do to help my local SEO clients increase their visibility without it being spammy? So I appreciate that question, because he's saying, hey, I want to help them, but what can I do?
I mean, yeah, the things that you can definitely do is make sure that you are fighting spam in their market. So if there's a bunch of keyword stuffers, start going after them, start doing the name suggested edits, start reporting them through the redressal form, start looking for, spam in their market, come up with a review solicitation drip campaign where they can start getting some reviews, make sure that they've got a way for their customers, if they can, to upload photos to their GMB. I mean, those are the things that'll definitely work. I mean, I went to level 10 just doing a bunch of, suggested edits, knocking out, some pretty large scale networks. I mean, Ben and I tag team on quite a few. I mean, there was one that was like 3,400 fake listings the first round, and then they came back with like 600 to 700, and Ben and I went back and just started killing them. So those are the best things that you can do to help your clients. Is just level the playing field and get these, these black hats out.
Yeah, I think the main thing is he's going to say, how do I leverage my level 7 status as a Google Local Guide to help my customers? So basically, like you said, reporting spam, reporting issues that you see, making corrections. That's one of the best ways you can probably leverage that clout.
Yeah, and on a side note, so Ben and I are actually speaking at PubCon Miami first week of August. So Ben and I are on the same panel, and I actually am addressing how to make your local guide profile that much better going after doing spam fighting. So I'm going to actually talk about what you should be doing suggested edits on and what you should not be doing suggested edits on, because it's all going to come down to how many of your edits are actually getting approved. If you're getting a bunch of not applied, then you could be level 1 or you could be level 10. All those not applies will start counting against you. So you definitely want to target the listings that you can actually nuke.
I want to put one thing out there, and I know Jason will be talking about this at PubCon probably, but we say this pretty often, and that is you need to watch out. Make sure that you are being due diligence about what you're doing, especially these days. Why? Is that if you're going on and you're editing let's say a lawyer's name, right? And they've got best personal accident attorney in San Diego, right? Keyword stuffed. Maybe visit their website. Make sure that they haven't rebranded, because if they have and you're suggesting that edit, you're going to get that not applied. Worse, if you do it enough, your local guide account will be disabled. And guess what? You can appeal. Chances are you're not going to get it back.
Yeah.
And it can also lead to an account level suspension for that account and knock out any Google My Business listing that you were associated with. So you definitely want to make sure you disassociate that local guide account with anything that you manage. But yeah, no, Ben and I are definitely going to be talking about spam. So I do spam fighting. Ben's going to do reinstatements. We're going to do a tag team on it. It's going to be awesome. So if you can make it, make it.
It's all yin and yang. Yin and yang.
The yin and yang. Pinky in the brain.
Pinky in the brain.
So we got to wrap that up for today. I appreciate all the questions here. Wish we could have gotten to all of them. We will definitely put those in the queue. Those will be first up for next week. But again, appreciate your time here, guys. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we will see you again next Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Talk to you soon.
I think so, Brain.